Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us for our webinar on promoting your self-service portal. My name is Amy, and I'm also joined by my colleague Sam today. But just before I start the introduction of what we're going to be talking about in the session, I would like to go through the standard webinar checks for those who have not attended one before. If this is the first time you're using GoToWebinar, you'll notice that the panel on the right-hand side is expandable and collapsible by an orange arrow. If you could just ensure this is collapsed when you aren't asking a question, as this can cover some of the functionality, which is going to be shown later on in the demonstration. We are also recording this session, so if you do get called away at any part, don't worry, as you will be able to access this after as well. And we are going to be answering any of your questions that you're going to have on the chat box at the end, so ask away throughout and we will get to you at the end of the presentation. So today we would like to take you through how you can encourage the use of your self-service portal through promotion, as well as how you can start thinking about the design and the benefits that can be seen from taking some time to pay it the attention. I'm going to start off by talking a little bit about the uses of the portal and the benefits that can be seen before Sam introduces the steps to success of promotion. We'll also be showing an example of that we've designed in TOPdesk before talking about the go live and aftercare. Whether you're introducing a portal for the first time or hoping to improve your current one and its engagement levels, the 4 steps to success can be useful at any time. And although we're going to be setting the scene in our demonstration with the example concept, try and think about how each stage would look in your organizations as we do take you through these steps. A large number of you listening are all using a self-service portal and understand its importance, but I thought we should recap what exactly the portal can and should be used for to get in the mindset of what the customer expects. We're now living in the age of self-service. People expect to be able to log, buy, book and resolve in a few clicks rather than waiting on hold listening to lift music on the phone. As a result, service delivery has become much more transparent and more accessible through the introduction of self-service portals. The self-service portal should act as a one-stop shop for all of your customers' needs. Whether you are offering the service that your department offers or all the services that the organization offers across multiple departments, the customers shouldn't have to spend time thinking about whether they need to click or move to in order to get something sorted. By using the portal as a one-stop shop, it can become your public-facing service catalogue full of links, FAQs, useful information, and opportunities to action on their own issues. Your customer can see the portal as a bank of knowledge and answers in order to self-resolve without needing to speak to an operator. Should the answers not be in the portal, it should be clear and easy to request the services they require without much thought or effort. Furthermore, the portal is your opportunity to publish major outages, issues, and key pieces of news that may affect or interest the customer, and we will touch upon this later as well, to why this might help engage your users to visit the portal. By making sure the portal is used to its full potential, you'll be making sure your customers are influenced to use it, and this will become the easiest and most effective way for them to get the help and information they need. But what other benefits will this have? Efficient self-service use has been proved to have a high reduction in the number of calls that your service desk is receiving. This means that your operators and engineers can spend more time on the resolution to work more in line with SLAs without having to be tied to the phone logging the jobs in the first place. Self-resolution also frees up time, allowing for more technical and planned tasks to be completed by those who would normally have to spend time on smaller repeat calls. Quicker resolutions and the ability to log and resolve calls themselves leads to happier and more empowered customers, and having that transparency of what services are available also helps to improve the image of your department. Customers can see what it is you have to offer whilst having their expectations managed. And what's more, the portal makes it easier for management to have an overview of the progress by being able to see which publish reports and having the ability to approve requests in a few simple clicks. All of these benefits can only be fully realized if the portal is used to its full extent by your customer base. So with that being said, I'm going to pass you over to Sam, who will now introduce the process of promotion.
Yep, thank you very much, Amy. So I'm Sam Norman, a bit of a webinars regular now, but if you are new to our webinars, I work within the inside sales team at TOPdesk. I'm going to take you through how you can carry out your own promotion of your portal, whether this is for an initial go live or perhaps not. So let's crack on. And how are you going to go about this? Well, first and foremost, You want to assign a person who will be your portal ambassador. So this will be someone who has a keen interest in making sure that it will be a success, and someone who enjoys listening to the opinions of your end users or your project team. They will be the go-to person for anything self-service related and will have a vested interest in the project overall. Also, do not rush what you're doing, so really take the time to get it right, as this will pay off in the long run. And think about the types of people in your organization that you want to target the promotion to, and get them together into a group to work together. But more on this shortly. It's also extremely important that you set yourself a target that you're going to work towards. So an example of a target might be, we want to increase the percentage of calls logged via the self-service portal by 40% in the first year. So we have a time frame and a percentage put towards our target. We're going to now follow the 4-step campaign that Amy mentioned. So what are these 4 steps? Well, I've just popped them on the bottom of the slide there. I'll just explain them as well. So the before stage, so what do you need to do before starting your promotion? The during stage, what has to be done before you can go live? So that includes the design and the testing of the portal. The go live itself, where you launch your portal to your end users or to your customers. And then the afterward stage, so what happens next, where we'll cover how to keep the use of the portal going. So the first of these steps is the before stage, where we want to tell people exactly what we're doing. In this stage, we assess what we are going to say and to whom. So the who. Well, I talked briefly on the last slide about picking a group of your end users to aid you in the promotion of your portal. You can choose who these people will be by thinking about the different types of people that you support at your organization. So try and identify up to about 5 individual personalities that reflect the vast majority of people you support. Perhaps some people are talkative at your organization and they welcome using new technology, but maybe others just like to call you up to get things done there and then. Then try and choose one specific member of staff that fits into each persona. These people will make up your focus group that will help you to promote, design, and improve the portal as you go along. And what about the what that we mentioned? Well, this is where you tell people that a change is going to be coming. But how is best to get the message through to your group or to your whole organization? Well, you want to create a buzz around what's going to be happening by targeting the different people in your focus group in various ways. So some people might want to be emailed about it, simple as. Some may need to be reassured that the portal will still give them access to all of the services they had before, and that they'll be given all of the guidance they need as to how to use it. So you should approach people and explain what's going to be happening clearly. Make sure you convey the advantages that a portal can bring. You can access it at any time, you have clearly defined services, a bank of knowledge they can tap into, etc. And maybe think about tailoring what these benefits will be to your individual organization. So come up with a list of them for yourselves. And if you target how to tell each member of your focus group, then you will hopefully cover all bases for all of your end users and will start to create momentum for the portal across your whole company. And then moving on to the second stage, this is the during stage, and it's where a lot of the hard work will occur. But it's the interesting bit. So from the designing of it, through to the testing, through to it being ready to be showcased to all of your end users. And during the construction of the self-service portal, your portal ambassador should host regular feedback sessions at intervals which your focus group will attend. This will allow you to gauge their thoughts and ensure that they are engaging with the project fully. It will also allow you to develop the portal so that it's right for your organization before the go live. And trust me, you will get some really good feedback from these people. Relating back to the people that you chose in the group, we would treat each of their personas differently at this stage, as it's likely they'll give different sorts of feedback. So tailor the questions that you ask them. For example, you could think about asking whether on a scale of 1 to 10 versus what do you think of the terminology here would work better for someone that's maybe got a shy personality. And probably the 1 to 10 question, so they can just give you a number and be done with it. Once you've listened to people and you've made changes based on what they say, then tell them that you've done so, because they'll feel valued and more engaged in the project's success. You should also set up trial scenarios in the portal during these sessions as a usability test. So this will determine how easy people think it is to use at this stage of the development. For example, can one of the group members navigate to a specific page without instruction? And how long does it take them to get there? Once you've successfully held your first feedback session, you should just keep on holding them until you're ready for the go live. As we said earlier, don't rush these sessions and take your time to get everything right. And maybe just a little side note to think about. Perhaps one of your end users you've chosen is popular at your organization and has a good insight into what the general feeling is from the user group. Can you take advantage of this and find out how they are finding the project, or how do they think the whole focus group is finding the project overall? All right, well, we've talked about the during stage being where you design the portal, but we haven't taken a look at what you would do for the design yet, so let's cover that. In a moment, Amy is going to take you through how a self-service portal can be created for a fictional company, just as an example of how you can present your services and design this in an engaging way in TOPdesk, but these principles can also be applied to any other tool as well. Firstly though, here are some useful things to start thinking about whether you're creating a portal for the first time or you're trying to evaluate how you can improve your current one. So these are things that the portal ambassador should get involved in coordinating. The first of these, what services do you want to offer? So this will help you to create the tiles, the pages, and the subpages in order to present them in a logical order and in sensibly grouped areas. So gather your focus group to ask what they would find useful and to discover their preferred way of wording things. As I mentioned before, those people that are involved from its initiation will have an investment in its success. And next, think about who these services are being offered to. So what kinds of instructions do you want to create to go alongside these? Perhaps some knowledge items or FAQs that you need to build, and think about the sorts of terminology that you put into this content as well. Do you also maybe need to create simple or extensive forms, for example, all the way from registering malfunctions to a complex new starter process? Thirdly, will you need multiple portals for different offerings or different customers? And what services and designs will be relevant to who in which portal? How will you customize each one of them? Number 4, how can you enhance these services in the portal? Perhaps you might want to add in orderable items, if this is relevant to you, to your services. Or this could be something that you think about later down the line. But let's now though have a brief breakaway from the 4-step process to take a look at how you can design your self-service portal to get the most out of it. So I'll pass you back on to Amy.
Great, thank you, Sam. So for the purposes of this webinar, we thought it'd be best to get creative and pretend that we have a fictional organization that everyone can relate to, rather than having very specific examples that might be difficult to engage with because you all are coming from very different backgrounds. So as a result, I've created my portal for mine and Sam's newest venture, which is TOPdesk Zoo. So please come with me on this creative journey, and hopefully you can see the themes of how we've designed our portal based on the needs of our staff in the zoo, whilst making it desirable to log an issue through the portal rather than via the phone or email. So I would like to introduce you to the TOPdesk Zoo self-service portal. So I'm going to give you a brief look at this end to start with, just to set the scene for how our processes have been put in place before showing you the designer to how easy the small updates are once you are into the go live process and onwards, and you start getting that feedback, which Sam's going to run through the back end of the processes afterwards as well. So when designing our portal, Sam and I found real value in getting a focus group together to make sure that we were putting it together in a logical order. And as a result, us and the group came up with the main service tiles of the portal that will be most useful. So all of our staff wanted to be able to easily keep track of the updates to their logged issues, so therefore the My Requests tile was essential. We then looked into the services that the staff need to deal with like the most, which previously caused a headache, given that a lot of our staff are often out and about in the zoo when perhaps they might notice that the hippos have made more of a mess than normal, which is causing distress to the visitors. So they want to be easily able to request a cleanup and have that cleanup go directly to the relevant team. So that was vital. Additionally, finding out that you're at the end of the feedback in the camel paddock, or that perhaps your giraffe is due a checkup, wasn't ideal before the self-service portal was in a clearly organized and accessible manner. So therefore, having the ability to request a new order of stock, or the ability to reserve and book services in the portal really appealed to the team. The staff didn't want to trawl through illogical links to find the most used services, and having that focus group and a real understanding of their needs helped create the most useful tiles. You might have also noticed that I have logged in as a manager. So to the right-hand side, I can easily access requests that need my approval, as well as having a manager self-service tile, which conveniently has a report in place, so I can actually check up on the feedback that's being left by my customers. How's the rating going? And so having implemented the promotion process, I can see if there's been an increased use of the portal. From there as well, the last two areas that were fed back to us from the users were that they wanted to be able to have contact details to hand when working across such a large site, and be able to find the answers to general questions should they not see their team or manager for a while but needed some assistance there and then. Which is why we've added these two final tiles. And for those of you that are familiar with the TOPdesk self-service portal, we've also enabled the search bar so that if our users did want to just quickly search for a user or perhaps a knowledge base article, request or services, they can do so there as well. I also want to highlight two other areas of the portal that are useful. So the broad service descriptions are great if there is a major issue that you want to publish to everybody. But also, I often find that the news section on the right-hand side here is underused and undervalued. If you think about it at the zoo, perhaps, you want to be able to drive people to the portal. So if they do have a vested interest in what's going on site, they might want to know what's happening in the other areas. Perhaps we've got some newborns. I would then be driven to come to the portal to actively find out what was going on. And then hopefully as a result, I'd start logging issues through the portal as well. I know at TOPdesk we have an internal news board, similar, and I actually do actively go on and check this. It could be to look at product news, or we are a global organization, so it's quite nice to find nice positive updates from the other branches as well. So I can really understand why if this is used properly, it might actually increase the amount of footfall to the portal. So let's imagine that our portal's gone live and the take-up is going well, but we start to receive feedback that the report and issue service isn't actually as clear as it could be. So I can see here I've got a nice simple overview of the service, and I have a nice easy form. And to me, when I was designing this, I wanted it to be as simple and as accessible to my end users as possible, but I perhaps overlooked that it wasn't that clear. So my feedback has been that people want more support and more suggestions in place for their queries, rather than having to wait for a resolution to basic matters. So as a result, I want to add some knowledge to this service flow. So if I just jump into the back end here, I can start adding this immediately. It's also nice to consider that if you have got people who are checking this feedback up, that they can be able to do this as quickly as possible, so then it doesn't get pushed to the back of your to-do list. So I'm going to head to the self-service portal designer here. I've got a nice shortcut. Again, that's an easy way to update things quickly. And if I go to and report the issue tile and open my service, I can head to the flows section and start adding the knowledge items that I would like to add to the service page. So if I quickly just add a few example knowledge articles that might be useful to my end users here with the service that is in hand, I can link these. And providing that I've enabled these knowledge articles to be available in the self-service portal, when my users go to search in the service now, they'll be presented with the relevant knowledge. But another thing just to consider is when you are designing the forms, make sure that when you write your questions out, if you do want this to be an option, that when you have an open text field box, that it's set up that the text is going to the brief description field in the incident card, as this is the field where when the keywords are typed in, this triggers the searching. So if you do just have that going into a separate one, you won't be able to get that full functionality, so just bear that in mind. The other bit of feedback that we did get from our end users is that our staff are often out and about, and maybe specifically in different areas, but perhaps they need to go to an enclosure at the other side of the zoo and they don't want to have to go and find a big tourist map. So I'm quickly going to add a tile. I'll just do a shortcut for an example, and I'm going to add a TOPdesk zoo map. So now when my users are logging in, I'll just change the image so it's still got my nice animal theme. They can find their way around easily without having to spend time doing that. So again, a very quick addition, but it just shows that if it is something that's easy and you know it's going to be useful, just try and fix it straight away. It's also reassuring to know that as mine and Sam's zoo empire inevitably does grow, Perhaps we want to start a new safari park. It's easy to add a new design to the portal. So perhaps the new venture doesn't need the same services or the same tiles, or we want different branding. It's something nice to consider that you can either do this now, perhaps your organization warrants it, or we know that in the future we can easily set up these portals to make sure you always have the most relevant information for your end users. So I'm just quickly going to head back to the self-service portal just to show you how quickly these effects have been put in place. Sam's going to speak to you in a moment about communicating with the people who are requesting, but it's important to note that if someone has given you feedback and you are acting on it, then do let them know that you've done it. They can then go and have a look at what's being done, give you further feedback. Perhaps it's not quite what they were suggesting, but more importantly, they'll feel valued and want to encourage the use of it and perhaps spread it around to their colleagues that this has been the case. So you can see now in my service page that I do have frequently asked questions down the side, but more importantly, if I do come here, perhaps I want to know which team is cleaning the enclosures later, you'll notice that they are going to start searching based on that brief description, and I can get my knowledge article here. We can also see that my Zoom map has been added already. So one last thing before I do pass you back to Sam is this has been quite a light-hearted example, and we've had a bit of fun with this, but perhaps it's not realistic for you to be able to put a different animal on each tile of your portals in your organization, but you are interested in different seasonal themes. So TOPdesk actually has downloadable themes throughout the year, which are designed in-house. So should you want to give your users a bit of a nice surprise from time to time, you can head to the marketplace. And these are downloadable for free, so you can see that we have a Halloween theme here that's available at the moment for a bit of fun before the end of the month. And this can be found within the TOPdesk Holiday Style Kit tile. So that is all I wanted to show you today. So I'm going to pass you back to Sam, who's going to carry on with those steps to having a successful promotion.
Yep, thank you very much, Amy. I think a lot of fun was had designing that portal there. I'm now going to be going back to the serious stuff, though, sadly, but we're going to be talking about the go live of the portal. Once you're either initially ready to go live, or if you've been rebranding your portal, how is it that you go about letting people know that the functionality is there? Well, this is the exciting bit now. You should see if your marketing or your communications teams are actually willing to get involved in creating content for you that stands out or that reflects your organization's brand. So ask your focus group what sorts of content they might like to see or that they think would work best to present at the go live. For example, scannable posters that you can stick up around your buildings, informative desk triangles to stick around the office, and maybe some mugs or coasters that are branded. For example, when we recently hosted the joint webinar with the University for the Creative Arts, they actually informed us that they were commissioning coasters to be made for their go live, so we've stolen that idea. Once you've got all of your content together, make sure that you then hold a big event where you invite anyone and everyone down to a gathering at the Service Desk Centre and open the floor to all of the people that you work with. Can entice them in with cakes and tea and coffee. We found that food does draw people in, which is especially true at TOPdesk, where we have just finished eating some birthday cake before we sat down to broadcast. And if you do this, this lets people see the faces behind the people that they might typically only speak to on the phone. And of course, this event should be organised by the portal ambassador who will be present on the day. It's really important to get your focus group at this gathering as well, because they've been involved in the project for such a long time already. They will hopefully also encourage colleagues from their department to come down to the go live too. Additionally, it will be of added value to get the project team there and the TOPdesk consultant on site for the occasion, particularly if this is your initial portal launch. Because the TOPdesk consultant will be able to give advice or perhaps a short demonstration to those people that attend. And this will actually add weight to the importance of the go live. Once that's all been done, what happens next? Well, it's the afterwards stage. So when we start out with the portal, we'll probably experience that a high percentage of calls are logged in this manner. But how is it that we ensure that people don't fall back into their old habits? And how do we prevent them from calling us up again? Well, you should start by assessing if you reached your old target you set yourself or not. Perhaps it wasn't as achievable as you first thought it would be. Or Perhaps you made it with ease with flying colours. Once you've assessed this, set yourself a new target which has been scaled based on the results that you've already gathered. And once you've monitored how you're doing, you want to show off the results to your managers. So you could present these reports directly to their portal view, such as the feedback score report that Amy showed us earlier on. And if you're doing well, make sure you make people aware of this. But also make them aware if things aren't going so well too, because your managers or your other colleagues may have some ideas as to how you can improve. One thing we'd also suggest you do is to host drop-in sessions for your end users that you could ask your consultant to come along to as well, at certain intervals where they can ask you any questions that they might have been too shy to ask otherwise. And you might learn a lot from these sessions. You'll get feedback at them that you can use to then keep on improving the end user experience. For example, some people might not agree with the response times that you set up, or others may still find the system difficult to navigate. Also, make sure you're monitoring the use of services and knowledge, so find out which ones are being used the most, which ones are people not using at all, and find out why is that. So the whole thing, therefore, is an ongoing process. You've got to listen to your end users, continue to get their feedback, and then take on board this feedback and keep updating knowledge and terminology as necessary. And once you've made these changes, tell people that you've done so via the news section on the front page of the portal. You should also decide what you want to do next in the portal. So would you like to use it across other departments? Keep on thinking about the future and what's next. So what general advice do we recommend? What are our tips for you? Well, firstly, make sure you're really thinking about the terminology that you use throughout. Do your end users or your customers really know what an incident or a work order is? So maybe report an issue would be more useful to put on a tile. Also, you could create an entire theme around your portal or a name for it. As I mentioned before, when we held that joint webinar with UCA a short while back, they told us that they were calling their portal the Hub to reflect their image and how they wanted the portal to come across to those that they support. And like I mentioned earlier, get creative in the content that you use to advertise the portal. For example, creating those coasters which might have a scannable QR code on them that links directly to the portal for direct mobile access. And make sure you're frequently monitoring the content that's in the portal and do not let this drop off. So you could assign different people to look after different sections of the content, especially if you're using the portal as a shared services tool. The portal ambassador should therefore keep an eye on what others are up to as well. So they should hold regular sessions with these people to check up on what they've been doing. And finally, it's imperative that you make sure you're getting feedback from people as to how the use of the portal is going. So after a certain amount of time, for example, after 6 months, send out a survey to a select group of users to ask them what they think. And within this, ask both qualitative and quantitative questions, but don't make it too long so that you actually do get some replies. And don't forget about your operators as well. Ask them how they are finding things since the go live occurred. So you might want to ask them, have they experienced a lighter workload? Are they getting the correct information in the forms that their end users submit? Perhaps you could tweak certain fields in the forms to help them out. All right, well, we've covered quite a lot today about promoting your self-service portal, but just to wrap things up, to conclude, you should always assign a self-service portal ambassador to take on the project and to ensure it will be a success. Also, think about the people that you want to involve in the project, so who is going to make up that focus group that you listen to for feedback. You want to follow the 4-step process, so the before, the during, the go live, and the afterwards. Have different communication channels for the different personas or personalities that you've got, and really think about how you're going to target them individually. Keep on getting feedback long after the go live. So like we said, it's a continuous process. And sell your self-service portal to your customers and think about how best you can do that. So what sort of branding will you use? All right, thank you very much. We will stick around now to ask any questions or answer any questions, sorry. But yeah, thank you very much on behalf of both myself and Amy.
Thank you.
Thanks.